Alrighty. Let's talk about ships, everybody. Welcome in. How you doing, folks? How you doing? Good to see you. Welcome. We've got a little bit of a weird setup today. First of all, we're talking about ships, obviously. That's why we open like this. Second of all, you might notice... Oh god, my camera is so slow. Yikes, my frame rate looks terrible. Test. I do feel like I'm at least running faster than this. So if we just make me small. Is it the whole stream that's running like this? Oh, look at that. My graphics card must be having some trouble. Hold on, let's stop our replay buffer and see if that helps. Technical difficulties, folks. Heads up. I'm running on a gas generator right now. We have no power here, so there's nothing on in the background, no lights, nothing, none of that stuff. And it looks like, to be honest, my GPU is not performing great. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. Restream stuff, OBS stuff. Hopefully that holds up. Let me know if the frame rate is not good enough to continue, and then we'll just kind of, I don't know, we'll just f ourselves, I guess. Sorry. But today we're going to talk about ships. Mainly the ships that they have introduced to us at CitizenCon just this last month. Whole bunch of stuff here. We've got, you know, the CSV, we've got the StarLancer, the Polaris, the Pioneer, and then a whole bunch of little teasers at the end here. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm not going to try and push this one too long, but it is about ships, and you know how that goes. For anybody who's watching this after the fact, we do this live every Monday, some Wednesdays. It's good times. We just like to chill and talk about space stuff, you know? And today, we could all use a little good entertainment, right? So, we're going to work our way through this. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the ships that are more close than far. You know, we'll look at... I mean, it's the Pioneer, folk. Come on. That's like just now starting to enter production. That's not going to be here anytime soon. So we're mostly going to focus on the ships that we know are coming soon and the ships that you lovely folks are interested in because you're beautiful and you have great ship interests. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Admits he's gone off the grid. If only it wasn't me and thousands upon thousands of other PG and E customers who don't have power for 2 days because wind's scary. It's a bummer, and it's why mostly this stream is not going to be super long, because, you know, generators are not super permanent. I guess we need to use that for other things. The funny thing is like we came over here, we moved, and we're like, no more of the insecurity of our services, and Discord getting blocked, or the internet, or the power going out randomly when we were in Turkey, and then we come over here. And the power company's like, hey, we're going to turn your power off for 2 days. Yeah, it's cool. We wanted you guys to follow us. That's fine. Thank you. Yeah, PG&E is doing it again. They're up to their darndest deeds again. That's right. PG&E is like that freaking the villain from Scooby-Doo. Anyways, I haven't gotten to say hello to you beautiful. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Taryn McLean already getting us started with the bits today. My man. Let me make sure I got alerts so I can hear when that kind of stuff is happening. Thank you for the bits, dude. Thanks for the support. Hats off to you. You're a great person. Y'all were dancing it up on Twitch from what I saw. Having good times over there? Vastin, Zero. Azeban. Welcome in. Mrs. Tomato, wow. What are you doing here? Faldor and Sendai, welcome in. Good to see you. Astro Monkey, hello. Hello. Juke Sky Squawka. Macro, Payback, and Peregrine, welcome in. Valis, dude. My man. 07s, dude. Luna Maria, hello, welcome in. Good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Oddballs Hobby Channel. It's a nice hobby channel of you. Good to see you. Dirty Harry, welcome. Jacob, Artex, Sphezer, and Leaker. Shinomoru, hello, how you doing? Peregrine, Citizen of the Verse. Hey, 07s, buddy. Good to see you. Welcome in. My dude. How you doing? Iron Wolf, good to see you, dude. Funkmaster. Hanko Cronoct. And Tilted Turtle. You guys ready to talk about ships? This is going to be an interesting season of IAE because the discourse around Star Citizen is more intense. Kind of what it does, you know, it goes up and up. Star Citizen needs a good win to break that cycle, and it hasn't had one yet. 4.0 was going to be that good win, but I think has been a little bit tainted by complications such as like the delays to it, the features being removed from it, and not to say we didn't get the features even. I think some of the features that were going to be in 4.0 being released early have also taken some of the pizzazz out of that update for people. Not that that's a bad thing, but Star Citizen needs a big win. And every year, discourse around it gets a little more intense. And it's especially when it starts to come to ship sales, you know, everybody's got to say. So I am interested to see how this IAE season goes, because it looks like they've got quite a few ships in the barrel to release. Looks like they've got a lot of straight to flyables planned for the next 6 or so weeks. I just released a video about that on the main channel. Like 7 ships, I think, if you include the Hornet Mark IIs. And I'm guessing they'll have a concept or 2. So I think that we will probably be looking at like a total of 5, maybe 6 ships at IAE going, you know, out to the public, and then within the next few weeks after that, a couple, like 2 or 3 more. That's a lot of people are going to see that as not good after a year of not as much progress as they had hoped. So it'll be interesting to see what the overall sort of what the overall sort of discourse is at the end of the month. No politics in chat, please, folks. Distracting me, Jesus. They sell all ships? Yeah, everything that comes out essentially is part of the fundraising. Hope we get some background inside Star Citizen in the next week. Yeah, they'll be getting a CitizenCon one up this week, but who knows how much exactly we'll be getting from that. Anyways, let's get into the panel. Let's see what they have to say about ships. Usually this is a pretty interesting one. Like I said, I'll be skipping around mostly to cover the ships that are coming sooner than later. That's where we're going to be focusing, but this is, haha, I got you, I tricked you. This is a deep dive about the CitizenCon panel and the ships they talked about there, if that wasn't obvious.
And the clicker is not working. Oh, so if you've got technical difficulties,
you have to do a dance, John.
I think the ISC about CitizenCon will be just like last year's. They're just going to talk about what they did for CitizenCon, you know, the work that went into it, the challenges that it caused, the content that was presented.
For you that watched the previous presentation, which is awesome about base building and crafting, you should be familiar with the construction grav cart.
Okay, I want to say, first of all, I don't think we went over this during our review of the base building thing. This, in my opinion, is this. All right. Remember back in the day when CIG made their, was this 2017 CitCon oopsie? Yeah, their 2017 CitizenCon oopsie, when they decided to sell land claims and not be super clear about what it was they were selling. it was ultimately seen as them selling land, when in fact they were only selling the physical like beacon, so that when the ability to get the land itself in the game came out, you would already have the beacon to do it. And that was it's definitely not selling land, but I think what it was selling was this. I think instead of using some kind of a beacon thing like this, it's going to be something like this that you use to dictate your land claim, because I think they even say that in the panel. And then this thing puts down what essentially marks the physical ground in some way. So I wouldn't be surprised if when we do get the ability to get land claims in the game, whether it's at the tier 1 version of base building or something in the future, I think this is probably what they're going. I don't even remember how much the land claims cost, but I think they're like $30 or something like that, right? I'm betting that's what this is. And you can maybe buy on these. Why on earth would you think the land claim is buying land if you have zero idea what land you were buying? Dude, people come up with all kinds of reasons for why this game is doing things that it's not actually doing. People don't know you can play this game. Of course, they're not going to think about what the actual implications of buying these is. They just anger. And sometimes that anger is deserved, but this was one of those times when I don't think people really thought through what was actually going on. But I do think that this is what is being bought, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up going for sale when it is made available.
Construction grav cart. And you've seen how this works. You might be wondering, well, if I've got this, why do I need some vehicles to do things? I know there's going to be some of you that will be perfectly prepared to go push this thing hundreds of kilometers out of the garages at New Babbage. But realistically, you're going to need a ship to put it in. It can't carry supplies by itself, so you're going to need to put supplies in the ship, move them. And it has small drones. And that's the key aspect there. It has 2 small drones on board. And drones all have sizes.
Gonna have to do a heck of a video about drones, because there's so much drone stuff that hasn't been talked about in a long time. Wobbly, hello, thank you for the membership on YouTube, dude. What up, man? Hope you're doing well.
So, yeah, basically everything you're going to be building in Star Citizen has its size class. A lot of you are familiar with how we class our ships and a lot of other things in our game. So it ranges from small all the way up to large and extra large. And our drones kind of fall into those classes as well. But what does it really mean, the difference between what's a small drone, what's a large drone, what's a larger than large and extra large, and so on. And basically, a medium drone, for example, can build any structure up to a medium size. So it can build smalls, mediums, and it will be able to build small structures faster than what a small drone would. So the size makes difference.
All right, I want to hear guesses. How long do you guys think a building like this would take to craft? Let's say first release of Star Citizen. It'll obviously be too fast, right? It'll come out, it'll be too fast, and they'll slow it down over time. But with one drone, a building like this, how long do you think? A few days? Nah. No, the guy said when they were showcasing the industrial level, which I think was large buildings of gameplay, he said that these kinds of buildings would be able to be done in a single sitting. I'm thinking 2 to 4 hours, maybe, for something like this. Definitely less than a ship. Obviously, you need a lot more space to do like the little things if you're crafting a lot of stuff. But if they're saying, we could go back to that panel. I could probably find that spot. The idea that this stuff would be a single sitting, I think it was... Okay, this is going to prove if I've spent too much time watching this or not. Let's see. Should be right around here.
Me mentioning again here that whilst we're putting these buildings down instantly in this video, large structures like this, they will take some time with the automated construction drones.
Almost.
But the smaller scale base we saw in the previous video, that
no, I got it. Holy f***. Oh
can be done in a single play session.
Dude, no. Oh, God, that's worrying. Wow. Well, confirmed then. So these will be a single play session kind of thing. So I think you guys are on around the 2 to 3 hour mark.
Depending on how big you want to go. But the drones also scale in numbers. In the one drone can only make one structure at a time. So the grav cart's got 2 drones on it, so I'll be able to create 2 small structures. But a medium, or if you've got a vehicle that carries multiple drones, you can craft a lot more structures, a lot bigger sizes. And that's kind of really the key to kind of like the upgrade path through the kind of drone sizes. So we've had a look at the small. So what's next? What do you want to build? A medium. So I know some of you have already seen it, but this is the CSV.
Yeah,
from Argo.
this isn't even going to be out for a while, huh? Because this isn't going to come out till base building is out. So we just get the transport version.
CSV. So this specialized chassis is developed to take on all the conditions on all our planets. It's a little rugged beast that really does just go everywhere. And if you're constructing a new settlement, there's 2 things you need. You need drones to build it, you need supplies to supply the drones to build it. And that's why the CSV comes in 2 variants. So we have the CSV FM, which stands for Fabrication Module. So this has 2 medium drones on board. And we built it to fit in as many vehicles as we could practically get it to fit in. So it fits in vehicles from a Cutlass Black upwards. It's approximately, and everyone always asks me, what ship fits in what? And I lose track of it all the time. It's about the size of a Tumbril Cyclone. So if you can put a Cyclone...
I mean, dude, if this thing builds medium structures and 2 at a time, you could build a base with just this, right? You could deploy a single ship with 2 of these if you want. Let's say 2 of these. Like, you could fly around with an Odyssey, mining goods, right? Mining resources, harvesting your own fuel. Obviously, you need food, so there's that. Like, don't eat other people. But besides food, you could be building bases, running missions, harvesting fuel, mining resources, refining those resources, and crafting goods all in one ship. Dude, that's crazy. This is actually a pretty powerful thing. I didn't realize it was 2 medium construction drones. It's also got 4 SCU. We'll talk about the SCU when we talk about the resource carrying version of this, because I think it's a little bit telling.
In the vehicle, you could put one of these in it.
Yeah, the ability to spawn in, dude, that's such a big topic that was missing from CitizenCon from their 1.0 talk, and I almost made a video about it. The ability to spawn and how we can spawn within ships, out of ships, if somebody's offline and you spawn within their ship, like all that kind of stuff. I'm guessing they need to test it in a server mesh environment to know what they can do, but I was surprised that they didn't talk about that at all.
Obviously,
it's very high level.
Drones on board, and then it has an internal storage tank for resources. So it has a very small version of a freight elevator built into.
No, the Odyssey is not a dedicated mining ship. It's just able to mine.
Absorbs them into the holding tank on board, and then the drones will come back to the vehicle to refill. And it also has a size 0 serial generator on board for a bit of added protection. What happens when you run out of resources? This is where the CSV SM for supply model comes in.
What's up, Grim? How you doing, dude? Good to see you in chat.
And this has a traditional 4 SCU cargo grid on the back. So 4 1 SCU boxes, 2 2 SCU boxes, 1 4 SCU box. Depending on what you buy, you can use this to bring it and move it around. So this is the perfect companion vehicle to the CSV FM. Said that. Shield generator as well.
Yeah, so that is not much. And I'm thinking what this means now. I haven't done a lot of games with base building, but the games that I have played do it differently. So I would say, like, a real-time strategy game like StarCraft is like you put a builder on something and it takes care of that. And it's using that resource. It uses that sort of thing that you have instead of the resources you have. The resources you have are the production. In a game like Civ, you set up a building, let's say a great work, or a natural wonder. Not a natural wonder. A man-made wonder. And the game builds it for you over time, and you have to put resources into that. This makes it sound like that's how it's going to be. Because 4 SCU is so small. That's such a small amount of material in comparison to building medium-sized buildings. So there's no way that they're going to expect you to get everything transported to the building site using this before you start building. It's got to be you put it in, you go back and get more, the building starts, and you can keep on going back and forth, because there's no way this is the perfect companion to the freaking base building one if it's building size 2 buildings or medium buildings or whatever. I don't know, that's how I look at it. Like, this is a very small amount of storage. I would argue to say, why not just get like an Argo cargo and run that same route? That thing practically looks like a truck in the air. Yeah, I don't know. So all that to say, I think that this shows that building is a continuous supply thing rather than a put all your resources in and build thing. They might have said that during the panel and I missed it, which would be good to know. Let me know.
About 28 meters a second. I could not, my brain is fried. I can't remember what that is in miles per hour or kilometers per hour. And it is available right now to drive in SC Alpha 324.2, available at playerc.csv.
This feels like the ultimate, it's ready, why not just release it?
Let's take a little closer look at the vehicle, and Ben's going to go through it.
So this technically doesn't count as coming out soon since it's already out.
Okay, so what we're seeing here is the in-game version of the CSV. It's complete with its 4 SCU of cargo up on the rear. And I think the CSV kind of really builds on what Argo is known for as a manufacturer. It's got those kind of like really kind of hard industrial looks, and I think it helps it kind of feel at home on any build site. All of its components are easily accessible. And I think the exterior is like real dominating factor. It's those kind of large all-terrain wheels. And then that's kind of backed up by,
How are we doing this kind of video for a truck? I mean, you can just make like you could probably do it without the explanation, but there's just not enough stuff on a truck to talk about it for 60 seconds and make it sound super interesting.
Just simple, smooth, sleek lines. We've got the front-loaded cab that puts all the controls kind of right in the kind of where the player needs them, and I think that's one of the keys to the ship as a whole, or the vehicle as a whole. Sorry, is it's simple, it's purposeful, it's functional, and I think that just kind of just helps it to kind of feel part of that Argo family.
Okay. Sorry, Mule. We'll see what happens with the Mule now.
But what if you want to go bigger?
Are you the only person who doesn't care about the Polaris? I really don't care too much about it. I think it's a pretty cool ship. This is an interesting review. I hate MISC ships and the way that they look. I really like the Odyssey, but outside of the Odyssey, I'm very it's very like pain pleasure to look at a MISC ship for me. This one has elements that I like and then elements I don't. And I think the elements that I like on this come from the Endeavor, and the ones I don't come from the Freelancer. I really like the front, it gives me Prometheus vibes. I will say, I think that one of the best comparisons to what this looks like though is Serenity. Super good looking comparison. Also, some of the pictures give it like a grungy look on the inside. This is the least worst so far. If they would have kept it short with slides, then people would say this was too short and simple, no details. Oh, with the truck? Nah, dude, it's just a truck. People want to see ships. Prometheus is a great movie. You are factual.
So, introducing the StarLancer family. So, yeah, the StarLancer is basically a whole new family of vehicles, from MISC, and these are covering a range of different roles. Today, we're going to be talking about the first three, which
What an interesting line. This is a whole new family of ships with different roles. Today we're going to talk about the first 3. Huh? Have they done? Are there... I think with the 300i, 300, 325, 315, 350, it's got 4. Freelancer has 4. There aren't that many ship series that have more than 3, right? Like even the Cutlass range of ships is just 3. The 100i is just 3. The Spirit series is 3. The Zeus is 3 right now, at least. I wonder how many of the different StarLancers they will do if they're actually considering expanding it broadly. How many more can you come up for a reason for? Reason for?
The build, which kind of makes sense, and that basically
is 4?
is for all your large...
Oh yeah, the steel.
We have the TAC, which is going to be for people that want a little bit more defensive or offensive excursions in our universe. And then we have the MAX, which is a dedicated hauler, but it can still pack a bit of a punch. So we're going to take a bit of a closer look at all of them today. We're going to start off with the build.
So this is the StarLancer build from the outside. The key thing to take away here...
Look at that edgy glowing red from the interior. Also, look at how great these drones have been fleshed out already. Like it's just blurred in the picture because they're like, we don't, this, I guess this is supposed to be one over here. So we kind of get a, here it is. Drones confirmed, everybody. That's it right there. That's what it's going to look like. That's how it's going to work.
Is you'll see it has the drone bays on each side, and then it has the drone resupply arms for allowing the drones to come back and resupply. Inside that room, you have the drone control center.
Okay, this,
so you have
like, if you asked anybody what they thought, where they thought this came from, which ship manufacturer this was, I think most people would say Drake. Right? Would anybody be thinking Misk looking at this? It's like maybe a little bit here with the chrome finish a little bit, but this is so dark and dungy. And reddish. Yeah, I think this is the kind of stuff that makes it feel a little bit more like Serenity. Because Serenity feels like it's always falling apart.
a single station inside, and this is where you control all your drones from, much like Luke showed you in the previous presentation. So there are 2 large drones held on each side of the room, so 4 large drones in total. And then there are 2 filler stations right at the front here, and these each hold 16 SEU of capacity, which can then go and load the internal resource tank to feed the drones. Drones that will then be deployed out of their little secret garages, and they go off and do what you've asked them to do. When they need to resupply, they'll come back, sit on these arms, suck up their resources that they need, carry on their day.
Good for y'all. I really hope someday we can remote control drones and just fly it around. That'd be fun.
That's the really important thing here, is that all these base building vehicles have enough storage on board to supply your drones. Obviously, if you're going to build a million things on your base, you're going to run out. But we want you to be able to have these vehicles and have knowledge that you're not going to be doing endless cargo runs initially to build your foundation, your base. You'll be able to build your base and have storage on that eventually, but these all get you going in the short term. So let's have a quick go over the stats. It holds 4 large construction drones. It's 83 meters long, 52 meters wide, 15 tall. Saw lots of rumors and chatters that people thought this was Freelancer size. It is not. It is significantly larger than the Constellation and Corsair. It's almost 600i.
I wonder if we
can
find that picture. Misk. Gosh, I don't even know. Let's see. Misk. Teaser. Citizen Con. Yeah, so this is like one of the things that people saw thinking it was Freelancer side. I guess the thing that you get here is like you don't know how big this hangar is. So this hangar could have been a small hangar, could have been a large hangar. Clearly it was a large hangar, making the ship a lot bigger than people thought it was going to be. Isn't there another picture of it too? Is it just that one? Somebody looks like pasted them all together here. I mean, I guess even going by the size of these lights, you can tell that the ship's pretty large. I can't, because I'm dumb, but somebody could have. I'm sure somebody did.
Is a big ship. 2 S4 guns for the pilots, 16 missiles, remote turrets, and then 128 SU of cargo capacity in the build specifically. But what if you don't want to build stuff? What if, like me, you just want to burn stuff and destroy stuff?
We know about you.
So introducing the StarLancer TAC. So like I say, this is designed to be a bit more aggression into the verse. So I think the first thing you're going to notice is the dual man size 5 turrets. Now these give much better kind of broadside coverage from any of the other variants.
Hey, what's up, Red?
And then on top, we also have like a dedicated hangar that has been specifically designed to fit a Mirai Fury inside. And I'm sure we will see plenty of other ships try to be fitted inside.
Yeah, the Mirai does not leave you much room for other types of ships, but I guess if a Mirai can fit, like an 85X maybe can fit, which would be pretty cool. 85X is a really nice ship for its size.
Successful
yeah,
or not.
yeah, we'll see. And I think John's going to run you through the interior now.
How much do I think the build's going to cost? Did they not give a price? More than the Max, I imagine.
Let's have a look over the TAC from outside to in. So this is the TAC in its default paint, so sort of military drab gray. Then internally, obviously Ben talked about the size 5 turrets. Then we have some drop seats behind, and these are on a deployable ramp, so you can do some ground assault. They will drop out
It's like a small Carrack.
If you're doing a bit of ground assault, chances are someone's probably going to get injured, so there is an onboard medical facility directly behind there with 2
Carrack. The C2 can be pinched into it? Wait, what can the C2 be pinched into? 85X won't fit. Starjump did some modeling. Starjump's in here, or at least was. Grim was. That sucks, the 85X won't fit though, so that's a really small hangar. Interesting that they would do that. Good evening. We are just getting caught up on upcoming ships in the game. Other than the carrier, other than the Carrack, what can do that? As a mini carrier? The Odyssey, I think, but it's bigger than this. I feel like I'm missing one obvious. I guess the Polaris is also bigger than this. Yeah, there's not that many ships with a ship hangar. Constellation does have a dock, but not necessarily a hangar. Hangar makes a big difference. And it's going to make a huge difference when we get into refueling and repair gameplay. Engineering, all that kind of stuff, when you can use a ship like this, get it ready to go in between times out. Is it only the TAC that has this hangar? Or is it all of them? This would be incredible if the Max had a hangar that could fit an Argo. Caterpillar can carry a lot of Furies, yeah. I don't think it really has the facilities for a full-on carrier, though. Just the TAC has it, okay. It has a medical bay too, right? So, I mean, this is, yeah, it has a medical bay, it's got drop pods, it's got an armory, it looks like, got habitation, it's got a hangar, it's got engineering. This is a mini Carrack. With defenses, this is a much better ship than I initially thought it was. I'm going to rewind this and watch it again real quick.
So yeah, let's have a look over the TAC from outside to in. So this is the TAC in its default paint, so sort of military drab gray.
Yeah, it's also got a ton of turrets. Like, it's got 2 up top here. I'm assuming there's might be 1 down below, maybe not. Maybe that's too many. But then it's got 1 here, which means I think it must have another one on the other side. And then 2 more in the front here. Does this thing have... Yeah, because those are the front turrets right there. There's 2, 4, 6... Does this thing have 6 turrets? Dude, this is crazy. This is a civilian ship? This isn't even a military-made ship?
The interior now.
What are you doing, Misk?
So yeah, let's have a look over the TAC from outside to in. So this is the TAC in its default paint, so sort of military drab gray. Then internally, obviously Ben talked about the size 5 turrets. Then we have some drop seats behind, and these are on a deployable ramp, so you can do some ground assault. They will drop out, down. If you're doing a bit of ground assault, chances are someone's probably going to get injured, so there is an onboard medical facility directly behind there with 2 Tier 3 medical beds. Upstairs, obviously, there's the Fury hangar. Behind that is engineering. And then forward of the hangar is the refactored habitation and mess hall area, which is specific to the TAC. Just because there's so much other stuff crammed in there, we had to redo the upstairs of it, basically, to fit that in. And we'll go over the more normal layout shortly.
This is a wild ship, man.
Okay, so yeah, to sum up, I think the TAC's obviously going to bring a lot more firepower from the other variants. Its shield's been boosted up to two size 3 shield generators. It's got the med bay with the Tier 3 med beds, drop seats, it's got the hangar, and it's still able to carry up to 96 STU of cargo. And you can secure yours today by going to play.se/StarLancer TAC.
Yeah, dude, that's wild. It's also got 96 SCU of cargo, so like you could make a decent dollar shipping with this thing while you're running missions. This is Serenity. This is literally was built to be like Serenity. You could be a freighter that runs, maybe not the best cargo that people really want to challenge you for, while you're doing missions and gallivanting across the verse. I was not at all interested in the TAC because usually I'm not interested in ships that are like more combat focused. But as far as a all-around package for people to go out and just like do stuff when they're playing around, this is a good ship. I mean, this is like a Carrack if you don't care for the specialized exploration. If you just want like a good 5-person party ship or something, this fits really well in there. Sheesh. And there also aren't even that many ships in this class, which is the interesting part. This is a class of ship that's like not really, it's in between those 110 to 130 meter ships and then those like 40 to 60 meter ships, 40 to 80 maybe. This hits a niche that it's actually kind of crazy hasn't been filled in the amount of time this project's been around. Hey, there it is. They're five people, right? That's them and the pilot. That's 5. It's just like we said. Whoa, like they meant to sell it like that. Is the Max really only? Can you CCU from referral rewards? Is that a thing? Because that's really wow, that close to the Terrapin, huh? Huh.
Okay, so I think you kind of hopefully agree that was a pretty great kind of trailer for the StarLancer MAX. And as you can kind of see, we're just putting the finishing touches on that now. So yeah, we're just getting it all done, all ready for its launch at IAE. We will take a little bit of a closer look at it now.
Yeah, you can. I think honestly that's how we got our Carrack, actually, now that I think of it. Because we just melted a bunch of ships that I never remembered getting. and thank you to anybody who used our referral code. That's why our referral code points to our supporters now, because we've maxed that out. Will they upprice the Pioneer? I honestly, I don't. I see you asking that, and I don't know. That's why I haven't answered yet. I don't know what's going on with the Pioneer. We will talk about that when we get there, but I don't know what they're going to do with that.
I think the StarLancer kind of really fully encapsulates MISC's kind of ability to create beautiful ships. It's got this bulbous design that really helps to kind of convey its underlying structure and its underlying strength. I think when the engineers were trying to kind of put this together, they were thinking about what's useful, what's great, and one of the things that we thought about was this deployable cargo grid that just brings the cargo down to the ground, makes it much easier for loading and unloading. And they also wanted to put the crew, they wanted to put what was important for them. So they've added a lot of windows out so the crew can see out into the verse, and it's one of the things that we know people like, is being able to have these kind of little windows out into space. And then above the kind of main habitation area, we've got these big skylights, and they just allow kind of like more natural light to cast down into the cruise area. For a bit more protection, you've got 8 size 3 missiles up front, and then a further 8 on top. And these are backed up by a set of size 4 remote turrets, both front and rear, that give good topside coverage. And then finally, when we get to the front, you'll see we have a further set of size 4 gimbal weapons. And again, these just kind of help to fill in those blind spots. I think as a whole, the engineers or MISC have done an exceptional job in creating a vehicle that kind of fully encapsulates the functionality needed, while still ensuring that the crew's kind of well-being and livelihood is protected. It's all in a package that kind of really dominates the sky, and I think it really shows off MISC's ability to deliver kind of quite beautiful ships.
You know, Nakaj, I gotta agree with you. I just don't like the way that they do these. Ooh, sorry. Had a snack. I don't like the way that they do these sales pitches for the ships nowadays. Like, I think last year was the first year that they really did it like this. Because even, I want to say 2 years ago. About 2 years ago. Don't even think we had anything 2 years ago now that I think of it. Yeah, even in 2951. No, did they do that here? Not really. It was more of a discussion style. I think it was more just like a long talk rather than a sales pitch.
Sort of cargo. These are the big cargo containers that you see in all the rest stops and the cargo decks. These are those.
Even like
during development to other ships and
they're
shields
showing off the 400i here.
It's not quite as unique as it was, but it's still very well shielded.
It was a little bit more focused with the hollow table than the sort of the breakfast bar that's just in front of it. And I think because we tried quite a few different ideas there as well. Actually, I remember at one point we had like a war table with seating and stuff, but that was a bit tight.
Yeah, this felt a little bit, I think, more natural and conversational. Since like last year's CitizenCon, it's felt so like very fantastical in the way it describes the things that are going to be in the ships. What's the right way to sell me a ship? Me personally? Man, I can't even tell you that. But there's definitely things that I enjoy more versus other things. I think everybody's different too. But I do enjoy the video itself. I just don't like the commentary along with it.
Right, so don't worry, this is not an Origin 404 moment happening here. So let's have a look inside the StarLancer MAX now. So, love it or hate it, we love it. The MISC traditional letterbox view is back. At the front of the ship, you have the pilot, co-pilot seat with 2 support stations.
Abdi, thank you for the sub, mate. 34 months on, man. Appreciate you, dude.
Then behind that, we have the escape pod room.
Hey, my folks, give my man Ubdi a follow, please. Can we get a shout out for this guy? Fantastic streamer. Great family man. Good artist. Good friend. Deserves your follow.
4 escape pods, 4 crew. And then behind that, we have the traversal. It's sort of a traversal room. It has a lift, goes between the 2 floors of this ship and goes to the exterior of the ship. And then a ladder for emergency backup. Behind that is the mess hall area. So nice shared communal space for you to relax with your crew. And then we move into the 4 individual crew rooms, each with double beds, so very luxurious for a spaceship.
If you're wondering about the 404, the Origin 404 joke, it's because one of their April Fool's jokes one year was the Origin 404. This is before the 400i came out. So they kind of showed the 400i, but they made it invisible so you couldn't see it. So they called it the 404 because it can't be found.
En suites for all. At the rear of this section, we have a further 2 lifts. These are just internal to go between the 2 decks of the ship. Then at the rear, we have the main engineering. So there are some components dotted around throughout the rest of the ship, but the bulk of your components and the engineering terminal are here at the rear of the ship. So that's upstairs. Let's go downstairs a little bit. We have the main vehicle entrance and cargo entrance for the rear section. This can be used as a garage, but it is also a cargo hold. Can fit vehicles up to a Ursa rover in size in here. And then on the MAX, we have, as you saw in the trailer, the 2, it's sort of 1 cargo lift that drops down, but it retains a walkway throughout the center of the ship. So regardless of whether your cargo is up, down, being loaded, you still have traversal front to back of the ship. Then we have the downstairs of the traversal room, which also features the airlock onto the ship. And then lastly, we have the armory at the front of the ship. So if you're coming on board, leaving via EVA, leaving via that front entrance to the ground, you can stop off here, suit up, get your weapons, do the reverse coming back. And that is the StarLancer MAX.
Cool ship. Cool ship. Actually, you know, I didn't even realize it before, but the MAX is actually not as interesting as the TAC. Usually I would go the other direction, but I find the TAC to be a very interesting ship after this look into it. MAX is cool though, and I am glad that at least one of the ships that they introduced during CitizenCon is like gonna be viable within a month. I think they really need to get on the whole, hey, we're gonna not introduce any ships that aren't being delivered in the next 2 quarters kind of thing. That would really help them out. It'd also help us out.
We'll quickly recap the stats. 224 SU of cargo, 128 on that ventral drop platform, 96 in the rear cargo area. It has 6 extra VTOL thrusters for all that extra mass that it's hauling. And it is available to pre-order now and will be flyable this IE at play.se StarLancer MAX. And if you pre-order now before IE, you will get this exclusive sapphire paint, which is in the Citizen colors and looks super cool in my opinion. So, we have talked small drones, medium drones, large drones. What about bigger things?
So yeah, I guess they don't really go over the MISC build in that segment. Just to give you an idea, I guess, of like they're very mum about drones, like incredibly mum. They are far along enough with these designs that they know drones are going to take care of most of the work, and they've said as much. But when it comes to how detailed is this going to work with the drones and all that kind of stuff, like they're not really getting into that. It's going to be interesting to see how long it takes for that sort of info to come out and how close it will be to being in our hands by the time it does. Maybe they just really want to give it a big intro and an ISC on its own at one point. Which will happen. We'll come back to this. Somebody can clip this. We will come back to this when that ISC happens and be like, hey, remember when we said they were going to do a big intro to ISC about drones and make a big deal out of it back during CitizenCon when they could have just showed us with the build and yeah.
Who can guess what that is? So, I talked to you all quite some time ago about this in Germany, and this is obviously the original concept for the Pioneer. Now, some time has passed, and whilst the core concepts of base building have remained the same at a high level, how you physically build your bases has changed slightly. So back then, you were building everything on board the ship here. You would fly your Pioneer. This is the area I want to build in. I'm going to build my base on board the ship, and I'm going to drop it down. As you've seen, bases are a lot more expansive now. This doesn't work anymore. So we need to do a little bit of some reconcepting.
OK, so one of the first things we really wanted to kind of solve was the arm. We know a lot more about how we're going to be constructing these structures now. And
okay, I'm curious to hear, how many of you guys in chat have a Pioneer? And are you more disappointed or okay with the rework?
How we're going to be constructing these structures now. And kind of the arm didn't really make a lot of sense anymore. All it really did was it made the space you need to land the ship almost twice as big as what it's kind of needed. And we're not real spaceship engineers. We don't make real spaceships. But what we do try and do a lot of the time is we try and take as much reference from kind of real life manufacturing as we possibly can. And I think that's really it's really key to what I think Star Citizen is as a whole across like all the different departments. In that we're trying to make a believable universe. And if you think about the arm, and whilst I can't deny it's a cool idea, I think really from a manufacturing point of view, all it really does is it adds a lot of complication and a lot of manufacturing costs onto what is already a...
I'm asking specifically about the looks, by the way, not just the features, because obviously they upgraded it in terms of features, but in terms of looks, how do you guys feel about this?
A very advanced, very large, very costly ship to make. So that was kind of like one of the kind of real first things we wanted to do.
Yeah, I think they could have shown this angle first. Would have made more sense.
Kind of,
because like you can jump back and forth between the concept and this angle. It's fresh in your mind right there. Why would you not come forward with this after showing us this? That just makes sense. And you can see that it's mostly unchanged in like the overall shape. I think a big reason that it looks so different from this is because the center is open. Like this isn't normally, it doesn't usually look like this. We could look up some of the pictures. Because the Pioneer itself looks pretty radically different in that picture than it does in others. Let's see if I can find a... Yeah, like this is what it looked like. I think I'm in front of that. Oops. All right. So from that to... Do they have a top-down view of the new one? No, just this. I mean, that's good enough. From that to this. That's really not a huge... Like, they've actually left even this little arm thing that's sticking out on the side here. You can tell that they kind of tried to include that here. The landing pad is still here with the landing pad. It's actually quite... It's like really similar. And yeah, so on the original version, this central spot like folds upwards and opens up. And that's why that original concept image that we see here looks so much different, because it's got this whole section open and they're actually building the bases within this empty space. So they've changed that, and that's no longer what happens. And that means it all gets built outside by drones. Obviously, it makes it easier if you can simplify the entire game by having drones laser build all things rather than having custom bases that have to fit within this ship and be built custom every time. and then be built differently with other ships too, you know? Hey, thanks for the Red Monster shout out as well. I thought that one came without saying. Shape is not that critical for the ship like it is for something like the Saber Raven. It's always been a utilitarian design, and that changes based on what the game needs it to do. Shape-wise, it's more similar than I thought it was, just looking at these pictures like this. I actually thought it was quite a bit different, but even some of the smallest design similarities, you can tell that they tried to stick with. Like, they didn't even change the ship all that much. I didn't realize that the deck went almost all the way across the ship on the old one, until I noticed that it does go all the way across on the new one. So, I think they did actually a pretty good job of staying faithful to the original design here. No idea how much it is. Not a clue. Probably too much.
Very advanced. It was kind of like that. Was kind of have a little bit of a shift around of kind of like the egress points on the ship. The cargo position has moved, so we needed to kind of update that. We wanted to make sure that the landing pad made sense and had space to kind of come into the ship. And then we also needed a way of getting things out of the ship that we will be crafting. On top of that, we had a few other goals. Like I say, it needs to support all the updated kind of building mechanics. It needs to support all our current metrics, and I don't mean just character metrics, I mean all metrics, because we're going to be creating a lot of things inside this ship. We wanted it to kind of become a true self-sustained mobile base. We wanted it to kind of, be kind of like the cornerstone of your crafting and construction ventures. And to do that, we needed to add a few extra kind of onboard facilities. So, a med bay, like I say, the crafting area, the ability to refine or extract and refine materials.
That'd be pretty nuts if they made a carrier version of this to compete with the Kraken.
So let's have a quick look over the updated interior of the Pioneer. So at the back of the ship, we have the classic bridge, looks out over the expanse of the ship. And then top and bottom of that in this image.
Dude, I'm really wondering, we see it with the Polaris and we'll see it later in this video. I'm really wondering what the feel of this game on a ship's bridge is going to be. Like, are there really going to be people sitting down doing actual jobs? Is it just going to be like a bunch of running around, just getting into trouble while 2 or 3 people are trying to make the ship run? Like, what? Is it going to be Star Trek bridge crew, or is it going to be when you bring too many people onto your ship on Sea of Thieves and there's not enough to do? Because bridges could be very cool, or they could just feel kind of like wastes of space. And this is the Pioneer is really the first time we're getting a proper one. Like the Constellation, the Starfarer, they all kind of have a version of it. But if you got more than 4 seats, I'm wondering, what is everyone doing? It's going to be both. You're probably right. We'll see how that goes, though.
We have the escape pod rooms, and then leading off those is the access to the manned turrets that remain. Then going downstairs, we have the cargo area at the top. Doesn't look like a lot. That's 1,000 SEU of cargo now in that space.
Dude, what? Is that here he's talking about? Or is that like up here? Must be this up here. 1,000 freaking SEU.
Next to that is the fabrication control room. This is where you'll be fabricating larger vehicles and ships, as well as smaller fabrication machines next door for. You don't want to use this to build a small FPS weapon. It's a bit overkill, so we have that on board as well. In the center of the ship, we have a small fabrication hangar with roof and ramp egress. So if you're building a small ship on board, so things like a Nomad, you can build on board here. You'll be able to fly it out the roof of the fabrication hangar. And then we have the existing small landing pad that transitions from...
Just flying around building ships while you go. Like, this is also a part of the engineering and resource management stuff they haven't talked about. If you have a Pioneer that is full on building stuff on board, will you have enough power to fly around with shields on? When it comes to these more industrial focused ships that have like big functions going on, are they going to lean into the aspect that these ships are specialized and say, hey, if you're refining, there's a good chance you can't break atmosphere because you won't have enough thruster power? Or are they just going to kind of let people do whatever they'd like with industrial ships? Because it just feels like there's got to be some complications when it comes to building entire ships on your ship when you're balancing power and stuff, you know?
From outside the ship to inside the ship. So cargo you can load via new entrants that Ben's going to talk about in a second, but you can still retain the ability to land a ship on top of this ship, move it inside your ship, all those things.
It is a lot of wasted space. But, you know, it's the Pioneer.
Engineering at the rear. This is now capital components all the way around. It was a weird mix of size 3s before. It's now just all capital everything. Then we have the habitation, mess hall, medical area between the hangar and engineering. And then at the front, we have 4 extra large drones in the drone room. But we don't just have some pictures like this to show you. Ben's going to go through this in a bit more detail now.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to have a little look at kind of like the concept and where it's at on the interior. We start out on the interior bridge. It's very spacious, or command deck bridge, whatever you want to call it. It gives kind of really nice views out over the front of the ship.
Dude.
And right up front,
what a freaking beautiful set piece that is.
All the consoles required that you need to kind of control the ship.
So stylized.
As well as the kind of additional remote turret access consoles. And then at the rear, we have the main kind of navigation components and some small engineering consoles. And kind of flanking either side, we've got these 2 corridors, and they lead out to the manned turrets that kind of sit above the bridge. And they also have all the escape pods needed for all the bridge crew. Like I say, we want this to kind of be a home away from home, so we have a very large, comfortable habitation area. Each of the crew members, they get their own individual crew pod.
The interesting part about this is the first time we're seeing a CNOU interior, right? You've got the Nomad, which is like a little bit of an interior there. You've got all your Mustangs, and you got your Pioneer. And so this is essentially our introduction to a brand new ship style. And the interesting thing about this is back when they first talked about Pioneer and CNOU as a brand, they said that it was going to be one thing they really wanted to shoot for was that, ow, yeah, ass. It hurt, Jesus. One thing that they said they wanted to shoot for was that the ships themselves would feel like space stations with thrusters. You could get this a lot from the Pioneer. And this was about like their larger ships, that if you were inside or outside of that ship, you'd feel like you were in or around a space station that simply moved around. And I forgot about that until just now when I was watching this video, and I'm like, this feels like the inside of a space station. And they nailed it. And it's always nice to see that, like 6-7 years later, they actually hit some of the things that they were talking about. Of course, you know, it's always about the ships that they do that, but they do a good job with it. I'm partial to this aesthetic, but I don't really care if I like it or not. It is really good looking in the sense of like a new design style for a sci-fi game. Love it.
Like I say, we want this to kind of be a home away from home, so we have a very large, comfortable habitation area. Each of the crew members, they get their own individual crew pod. And one of the nice things about this is these actually open up, and they allow kind of each crew member to kind of decide like how much privacy they actually want.
What the? Wait, hold on. Is that's your bed? So you like?
This is these actually open up.
Oh, okay, the bed sinks down. I thought there was a cover on top of the bed.
They allow kind of each crew member to kind of decide like how much privacy they actually want. This is the crafting area. We've got the 4 kind of crafting machines. And these are right next to the cargo bay, the internal cargo bay. And as John says, this holds up to 1,000 SEU of cargo, so it's pretty sizable. To make it a little bit easier, it's got its own dedicated cargo lift at the back. But again, just simplifies that kind of getting cargo in and out of the vehicle. down at the front. We have the drone room. Now these will be 4 extra large drones, so they'll be able to craft our largest structures in game. They exit the ship out through the roof, and they're all controlled by the construction console in this area. And finally, we're just going to take a quick
Just going
look
to
at
use that console to play like Invaders or something.
the crafting area on the ship. So you can see here we've got these blast shields down that kind of protect the crew in this area from what's going on inside. And then as these open up, we just finished making a storm.
Dude, the door in this ship is probably heavier than my ship. This thing's so freaking big. Look at the size of this hangar. This is on another ship.
And as as we see, there's a ramp that leads out, so you can drive any ground vehicle straight out the front. Between all the landing gear, and you get this really nice kind of like sense of scale as you're driving underneath out the front of the ship. And we've also got the top exit for any flight vehicles. And then finally, we have the landing pad, and this just allows us for any ships that land up on deck, we can just bring them down into the belly of the ship.
Dude, that's insane, but they did say that they're going to start working on it this year. So we'll see how long that takes. I imagine it'll be longer than a year, though.
That's the Pioneer. It's had quite the glow up over the years. Holds 4 extra large drones. And if you're interested in finding out what extra large drones can build, I highly recommend sticking around for the next presentation. It's about 20% bigger. I know the jokes, we always make ships bigger, but to fit all that in, it needed it. It can craft small ships and vehicles. And one thing we didn't show in that video is the landing gear.
So it's larger, even though they're not using that front space. I guess maybe they needed to scale it up to get the width of the usage in towards the back of the ship. But they still didn't need the length that provided from the ship while keeping the original's design. I don't know. I don't see much of a problem if the front of the ship isn't really used. Obviously, it's like space you could use, but it's also space you don't have to use or worry about. And we humans, sometimes we do worse when we have more choices, right?
Actually have integrated ground resource extractors in. So when you find your plot, you land your ship and you can start extracting the resources from it.
That's pretty crazy that you have resource extractors in here. I wish they would talk more about how extracting resources from the ground works. That'd be sick, but that's pretty nuts that they're gonna basically make this a base, a moving base. I guess that fits the whole space station thing.
Capital components all round, and now it has 1,000 SU of cargo capacity. Now the bad news. When base building comes out, this will not be there day one of it. But we are starting this in the next week or 2. So it is in production very soon.
Next week or 2. You guys think they've actually started it? I don't think so. Maybe. But I'd say it's 50-50.
So, to finish up, we'll do the classic one last thing. CitizenCon is usually about looking forwards.
Do the classic one last thing. Just 10 more minutes, though.
But we'll do some housekeeping and look at the now and a bit before. So, oh, sorry, this is Ben.
Yeah, so you remember last year we teased these 10 vehicle silhouettes. Now, these were vehicles that we were planning on working on this year, and we've not quite delivered all of them yet this year. But we did come quite close. So far we've delivered 6. We've delivered the Pulse, the X1, the Medvac, the Argo and PUV 1T, the RSI Zeus, and the rework on the Retaliator. Oh, but what about the rest? Sorry.
So, all but one of these will be released before the end of the year. So the Legionnaire is the one that's going to miss out. And that's because we want to align it with hacking gameplay.
Dude, I can't wait to hear what happened to hacking. I hope we get a solid look into it. There's not enough information publicly for us to put together a timeline. But hacking is like second to salvage alone in terms of features that have just been all over the f***ing place. Like, salvage got delayed, I think, from the roadmap itself. Not even in the sense that it got mentioned and then didn't happen. Like this feature got pulled off the roadmap at least 6 times, 6 to 8, maybe 10 times. Salvage got moved over the course of like 3 years. Hacking wasn't put on the roadmap, but how many times has it kind of been about to show up and then just nowhere at all? It's supposed to be on the preview channel. There's supposed to be a ship released. They talked about it, like all these things. They gave like sneak peeks of the hacking tool. You guys remember that? The pictures of that, like multiple times. And then it's just, they don't even show it in Squadron 42 gameplay. They're like, no, hacking. What's hacking? There is no hacking. What is hacking, silly players?
This out. And that's because we want to align it with hacking gameplay. But the rest will be here before the end of the year. So, Crusader Intrepid, Mirai Guardian, and the Polaris. So, we have a few patches.
I don't even want hacking. Okay, I don't need hacking. I'm not like interested in hacking as gameplay. It's not something that I'm waiting for or excited for. I'm more just acknowledging the fact that it has had so many false starts that it feels like Salvage, which also had reasons for false starts. PES was basically required for Salvage to work. For whatever reason, they didn't know that the first 7 times they proposed it. And I'm guessing something similar is happening with hacking.
Matches between where I am today standing on stage and the end of the year. But let's start with some things that you're going to see at IEE.
Oh, hello, beautiful. Dude, look at the shape of that Terrapin, though. What happened to your head, turtle? Dude, a Terrapin with a freaking medical bed is just like... It had to happen, right? Is there a ship that has been more requested besides maybe the Nursa? I think adding medical things to other things is what people have really wanted in life when it comes to Star Citizen. But I feel like a medical bed in the Terrapin was like one of the most wanted things by the community in terms of ship combinations with features. Just big move. Big move on their part. This thing's gonna sell like crazy. I will be keeping my scanning version of the Terrapin, though. And then this one. This ship is so much bigger than I thought. I thought you get a little bit of like a blurry look at it here. It's like, this is a really good angle of this ship to not be able to tell what exactly it looks like, because where is the cockpit on this shot? Okay, the cockpit is like right here. So the ship itself looks like a thick Ares, kind of like a thick, longer Ares that's not as focused on the gun. It's got like a nice little weapon here. It looks like some general, I guess you can. The way that they dip and move the camera. Whoa. Can you fast forward by holding down the space bar? Did I, wait, what? Oh. What the? How long's that been a thing? What? I didn't know that. Wow, that's fun. Is there like a slow motion button too? Anyways, this ship looks real nice. Okay. I'm a huge Spirit fan. The Spirit's still my favorite ship. Take it over the Zeus. Take it over the Pisces. Take it over the whatever the heck. This, though, this looks a little smaller than the Spirit. But if there's an exit back here, which we can't tell. We can't tell if there's any sort of walkway back here. But if there is, this could be the first Crusader small ship with 2 exits. Because they were very sure to focus and point out to us that there is an entrance right here via stairway towards the front of the ship. So this makes it kind of 100i type of sort of thing. Except this ship is clearly not as small as the 100i. First of all, you can see from this staircase the way it folds out that it's a pretty steep incline. But if we go back to CitizenCon last year and we look at the ship that they revealed, the sort of silhouette.
Kind of.
So, like, this dude is high up here. Look at this. This is his head length. Head length? Head height? This is his head height. And it is clearly, it's like almost at the bottom of the ship itself. So, couple things that could mean. First, it's not the same ship. Second, they lowered the ship a little bit. Third, this is actually pretty high up. Because we can't tell how far away the camera is from the ground. Like, I can't tell how many more steps are down below this. So this actually could still be the full height of a human in between this and down here, especially if that button is right there. I think this button shows that you're kind of looking up. So I do think it's the same ship. I think that's the same height. And we could see that clearly that's much taller than a 100i. What else we could see here is that the cargo comes down in the back, which could mean that there's a ramp in the back. But if the cargo comes down in the back, what are the chances that there's also a ramp leading up into that? Now, I guess technically if that cargo is open to the ship itself, that would still be another entrance. So you'd have 2 entrances in this ship. But I would like to see them make a dedicated spot for people to come up in the back too. Something in the back here where you can come up with the cargo or something. Because just a single entrance, please don't do that to us anymore with the Crusaders. Please. I love these ships. It's the only thing they're missing. But either way, this ship looks really like a good size. It looks just a little bit smaller than the Crusader Spirit. Looks bigger than things like the 300i, the Cutter, the Pisces, even the I wouldn't say this is anywhere near as big as a Cutlass, but like really bridging that gap. It's probably bigger than an Avenger. So this is that same gun we saw from the other side. Looks like a size 3, but I'm not really a gun person, so I wouldn't know. And then you can tell it's pretty wide. What is it? Is it asymmetric though? They keep showing just this side. Actually, I guess in the earlier shot here, this would be the left side. And I don't think we see a gun here. So is it an asymmetric gun? Like the Ares? A gun only on the right side? Don't even see the silhouette really here either. A single size 5? You think this thing's built kind of like the Ares with just a larger one-sided gun? So maybe this is bigger than a size 3. Because I think you'd want a bigger gun in that case. A baby Ares? Hey, dude. If they built a baby Ares with a habitable space inside, that'd be pretty cool. It is asymmetric. Has that been like confirmed somewhere? The cockpit also isn't centered. Yeah, that's what we were noticing from the inside shots. Cockpit looks like it leans a little bit to the left of the ship. And it's got like this little sort of spoiler thing back here. Slightly. I think that adds like 17 horsepower. Oh, there's a leaked sketch. Gotcha. So yeah, this is it's nice. This is, I think, the first single entrance cockpit on an interior ship, on the interior of a ship from Crusader. Reminds me of like getting into the cockpit of like a Vanguard or a Retaliator or something. I like it's a little more private for the person who's flying. Got your own door back there. Got a room off to the right here, which shows a bed, so you got a habitation area. We don't know if that's 1 or 2 people. It would be huge if this was a 2-person ship. Because then, I guess the Spirit's main draw above this would be cargo, whereas this would probably be focused more on habitation and privacy. Maybe this is something that be focused a little bit on passenger transport. But this is the door, the exit to the other side of the ship, so you've clearly got a little bit more space on the right side than the left side. And then this, I'm guessing, was just a back room. This looks like it's probably where the cargo sits, in this room back here that we're entering. And the big question that I think remains is, is there going to be an exit back there? Hab is behind the gun, right? Yeah. The Crusader Intrepid could be a big one for them. I think that might be the highlight of IAE, but we will see. We'll see what happens with the Guardian. Then you have this though, the Polaris, and we'll give this one a little bit of a wide berth, and we'll talk about it. So this is another one of those cockpits that's like, you're going to have a lot of people up here. How's that going to go? You're also going to have a hollow globe back here for like your tracking of targets and everything. This is a whole nother side of Star Citizen we haven't really seen just yet. This ship is freaking huge. It's ridiculous. There's too many hallways in here. You could just host death matches in this ship. Yeah, they took a strong design cue from Anvil with the slanted doorways, but a lot of these companies love their slanted doorways and walls. Depends on the part of the ship, how they slant. I learned that from morphologist Carrick, Architect Reviews video. It's a good call out. But yeah, the Polaris has a design. It's very military, and I think that's one thing that really separates a ship like the StarLancer TAC from a Polaris. Is like the Polaris was contracted by the military. This is supposed to be a military ship with military gunpowder and military design. The StarLancer TAC is a civilian ship built with weapons. So it has probably more creature comforts and is built to be more of a comfortable place to hang out than just a military ship to get things done. And I like that sort of distinction even when it comes to combat ships in this game, because they've gotten so deep into how the ships are built and what they're built for. That being said, man, I'm glad that this ship is going to help with people who are looking to RP a lot of stuff as a full group, but even getting like 30-something people online for enough time that it makes sense to use things like your your escape pods, your missile systems, your habitation areas, your cooking areas, your mess hall. I want CIG to come out and tell us why they think all those things will be relevant to a group playing with this sort of ship. How will respawns work that make it realistic? How will the ship persist throughout time so that people can log on and off and make it there to get into these missions? That kind of stuff is really interesting to me. I'm not saying they can't do it, but I would just, this is a big fucking package. The ship, dude, there's so much stuff in here. Like, I know the 890 jump is bigger, but it was designed 6, 7, 8 years ago when they didn't really know exactly what big ships meant to this game. Now they do, and I would really love to see what they have to say about all this, because it's a lot of freaking space, man. Honestly, a max crew of 14 doesn't even make sense of this. So I think it's up here in a couple seconds. You're going to see the mess hall. Yeah, like, is that 14 seats? Maybe it is. If that's the case, however many people would fill this up. Like, what would be the explanation for why this is needed? Again, not saying it's not needed, not saying they can't come up with the explanation, but just like they did with Star Citizen 1.0, with base building over the Citizen Con, with things like that, could you walk us through it? 12 seats, yeah. So, not 30 people, 12 people. How can you get 12 people on board to do all this stuff? I also wonder, like, why put a max crew size on this if you could have a different number of engineers? Meeting, staging area. Okay, I thought this was a mess hall. If it is it doubles as a meeting area, then maybe that works. Needing to feed your AI crew. Now there's something. That's a really good point, actually. Because if there's anybody that's going to eat, it's going to be the NPCs. Oh yeah, life support could determine max crew. You're right. This is the craziest part of the ship to me. This is the most insane engineering bay they've put into any ship so far. This is wild. Just chilling in an open pool. You guys got chlorine in there? I wonder what it even is. Probably not water. What even is this? What is that? It's like the this is the cursed collection of bracelets you got at Coachella. Not gonna lie, those torpedoes look like scramjets. Dude, just the freaking that's did the what the fuck, man. Oh my god, these big ships, like this is ridiculous. I just want to emphasize, like, this is not a positive or negative reaction I'm having. This is just like a flabbergasted reaction. This is so much to put into a ship. And somebody pointed out, like, even the air shield here is something that they've sort of talked about and put into different places and different things, but even the air shield there is a nice touch. Dude, I'm just a lot, man. I can't wait to see what they do to convince us that these ships are worth using versus a bunch of smaller ships or something like that. This is going to be a long part of Star Citizen's development, is making these ships make sense. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth about should they be focusing so much on group play and stuff like that. See how it goes.
Okay, so on top of those ships we've talked about, we also worked on a number of other ships this year. So we're just going to quickly go through them before we get on to what we're doing next. So we delivered the Sulen, the Storm, the Cutter Rambler, the F7A and F7C Mark IIs.
Wait,
so
hold on. Just looking at this, you can tell that the Intrepid's going to be bigger than the Cutter. Longer, at least. Like, if you look at how this guy compares to the size of the Cutter, it could be, different lenses simulated in these videos. But this thing definitely looks more compact than this thing. Which, dang, really, really puts that in an interesting area. As you can tell, I'm very interested in the Intrepid.
The F7A and F7C Mark IIs. So I always get tongue twisted with these. And the F7A Mark Is.
They also did the Santok EI, the Sabre Firebird, the Peregrine, and then most recently, the Argo Atlas. So, like last year, where we did a little tease, can't just leave without teasing a little bit more, so...
That's a good call. In my video, I completely forgot to compare the Intrepid to the Sulen. That's probably the best parallel to what it's going to be. Good call.
Let's have a quick look at just some, emphasis on some, of the vehicles that we're working on in the next 12 months.
Alrighty. This is Okay, so, we know this one, right? This is the one that everybody is most excited about. Little base building truck, little guy. I mean, we basically already got this released just as a resource carrying version, so not a big surprise here. This looks to be a new ground vehicle. Gives me Anvil vibes, but I don't even know. Yeah, they didn't say release. They just said working on. Gray Cat. Ooh. Do we already have a Gray Cat vehicle that we're expecting? Ah, the lights. Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. These lights. All of the lights. Pretty sure we've got a concept for a Gray Cat vehicle with lights like these, huh? Okay. I'm just gonna have to find this manually. So that's an awful crime if so. Alright, let's give it 40 seconds. Put them on the clock. Can we find this vehicle? It is some kind of concept art for a small little Chucky boy. UTV. Was it the UTV? Super organized here. We should have a special song for when I have to do these lookups, like the Jeopardy song. See if I could find it before the song ends. This one I think is a no-go, though. I don't think the picture I'm thinking of was even this old. All right, let's just do a Google search. And there it is. Yeah, so I guess this is these are very similar lights to this. Think the UTV just got bigger? CAV. Where did you guys get CAV from? Some data mining? The Rocky theme song? Do it. You recommend the technical difficulty song? I like the Rocky theme song. It's very, gets you going, you know? Gets the blood going. Data mine. Okay. Either way, it's definitely a gray cat looking ground vehicle. Looks like a bit of a troop transport, something Ursa sized or so. Maybe a builder? Possibly a builder. It would be interesting if they decided to release two different builders at the same time. Got a turret on top, so some defense capabilities. We'll see. Mudflaks and tracks, yeah. Oh, I guess, yeah, this could be tracks. I just thought those were the sides of the wheels, since you can't really tell in the middle. So maybe it's a tracked vehicle. That would be interesting. This is definitely bigger. Looks a little bit like an Atlas platform kind of thing. Y'all think this is the base builder from last year? Did it look like that? Has anybody made that sort of shape comparison yet? No, that's not right.
Thank
you. Base builder is way bigger.
So you must find. You can.
Yeah, base builder is pretty big. Oh yeah, yeah, base builder's way bigger. Okay, so then what is this? It looks like it's got maybe personnel storage up here, or possibly cargo storage, but it's looking like a personnel transporter, like a Spartan competitor. Atlas RV. If they pivoted to drones, could be drone control. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what this was supposed to all be. Looks like a liquid tanker. If this was rounded, I would agree. This looks a little bit slanted, you know, like a kind of a sharp edge over here on the right side. But it could be. Could be a lot of things. Definitely a ground vehicle. I could say that much. You see wheels on the bottom. It's not tracked. Yeah, you think it's the base builder? Who knows? We're not here for the ground vehicles, though. We're here for the ships. This is an easy one. This is our Hornets tracker, I want to say. It's just getting its MK2. It's Mark II. All of the Hornets are getting a Mark II variant from the war. I think it's the Vandu War. Can't say entirely. For some reason, they made a Mark II of a Hornet. Oh, this is the Ghost? Okay. There are going to be ships that are in this game that don't exist in Squadron, the Polaris being one of them. I don't know for sure if these are the same, though. Let's see. Star Citizen. Hornet Mark 21. Good typing. Latest generation, civilian variant. Okay, not much of a... Here we go. Anvil introduced the Mark II to the civilian market in 2954, starting with the... Huh. They don't really say. The initial version of the spacecraft established the benchmark, while the MK2 model exceeded expectations, achieving legendary status after successful covert missions. So it's... In the lore, it sounds like it's pretty recent. right? The scene where it's flying out of the Bengal, I believe it was, in the beginning of the Squadron 42 gameplay. They're beautiful ships, the later ones. I really don't like the original one, the Mark 1. Not great.
Fight one last battle.
So yeah, this is the Mark II F7A.
Win. Fight.
And basically we're going to get the what's it called? The Hornet and Ghost version of this. Okay, sorry. If ever there is a chance for bagpipes, I kind of have to play them. I'm sorry. So we've got the Ghost here. Next up here is the Tracker. So there's 2 Hornets getting their Mark IIs. And then this looks likely to be the medical Terrapin. We've got a medical bed over here with the scaling. And I mean, you got the fin here that we all know very well. It still has that same sort of Terrapin looking shape to it. Whoops.
So when you find your
Okay. Unnecessary. And I think, yeah, this is like the first full body look at the Metapin, which we did get a little bit of a look at here. Guess we can kind of see the shape in this. So you can see it's got the fins, same as the Terrapin. It's got this weird cutoff front. Looks like a bit of a turret, actually, for some defensive measures, so that's nice. And we jump to this, and similar. Yeah, the Metapin is going to be a very confusing nickname for this ship compared to Medipens. The more you listen to that song, you feel like the hurdy-gurdy. Yeah, it is. The landing gear being up on this ship is weird. It also makes me wonder if they've done something different with the landing gear for this ship, because the other ships have their landing gear. Why is this one sitting on its belly? Hey, Sniping Kiwi, I'm so sorry. I missed your sub before, and it's a little while ago, but I really appreciate you. You guys on Twitch have been amazing. Last month was our first time qualifying for Partner Plus on Twitch. This month we're shooting for it. We're at 30 out of 100 subs. Appreciate anybody who can help. Thank you so much. Prime and gifted subs don't count, but anybody who does tier 1 or higher, much love to you. This looks sick, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this is probably not the Guardian. The biggest giveaways, and this is something I realized when I was reviewing my video that I posted, and I didn't go and do the whole video over. Maybe I should have, but it's late, and the power's going out last night, and I needed to get something done. So I didn't get to touch on the landing gear. These are not Mirai landing gear at all, right? If we look at the Mirai Fury, what does that thing look like when it lands on the ground? Is there even a picture of it landed on the ground? Does it land on the ground, or does it just hover? Just kind of... It hovers? Yeah, so there's that. Now the Razor doesn't really count because that wasn't built with Mirai in mind. So what are the chances that they went from a ship with no landing gear to a ship with landing gear that has like wires sticking out? Like, this doesn't look like the manufacturing of a technological, advanced, alien-inspired manufacturer, right? This looks absolutely nothing like the Mirai. I mean, there's clearly 4 shapes. I'd say that's a pretty big similarity between the two. But it doesn't look like what the leaked renders for... Like, it doesn't look like this. And it doesn't look like the picture from last year. It's always possible that they could go through some redesigns, which is what I was thinking. But that landing gear is a pretty big giveaway. What's the Razor landing gear look like? I wouldn't take too much from that because it's a ship that was made before. Oh yeah, it's got like these little pedal kind of things on the bottom. It was a ship that was made before the split of Mirai and Misk. So it wouldn't be as accurate as something else. No good shots of the landing gear, huh? But you kind of get the idea from this. Pictures like this. Sort of see their little flippers. Yeah, so this is a very interesting looking ship. TIE Interceptor is a very popular shape. I mean, not in Star Citizen yet. I think the only ship that takes this shape is the Mirai Fury. Yeah. Don't think there's any real, like, four-directional ship like that. You think it's a different manufacturer? Yeah, I do too. Feels like cheating to put the same ship in the sneak peek 2 years in a row when you know it's coming out within weeks. Yeah, and that's another big giveaway. I actually put that as a caption on my video. It feels like this is a ship that it wouldn't be a ship they already put on there since none of the others were on there. It does look different from the silhouette from 2023. That is not why I thought it might be the Guardian. Because of the silhouette itself. I just thought the unique nature of the ship. It would be surprising if they were to release two ships with a 4-part design like this, or I guess a 5-part design, within a year of each other. That being said, I love the look of this ship, and the fact that it might not actually be a heavy fighter makes me very excited to see what it could be. I'm hoping this is our Star Citizen's version of Slave One. This looks like it would be a very cool, menacing, bounty hunting ship for a solo or 2 people that focuses on grabbing people, transporting them, and getting paid. I'm not even that much of a bounty hunter. I just like, I just love the vibes of it, you know? Gian Aopoa? Nah, I think this looks a little too angular for them. It's given Drake. Not gonna lie. Maybe not the front side, but the back end, just to trick us. That's possible. You're not wrong about that. But there are lights on the back, which would be strange. Or there are lights on this side, which would be strange to put on the back. Yeah, the exposed wiring at the feet is a pretty big giveaway. Could possibly be RSI. They have some of that utilitarian design. But they've been taking RSI in a little bit more of an angular approach recently than something like the Connie. You still think it's a Mirai? Two-person Banu fighter instead of the Defender. This thing would clobber the Defender. Look at it, it's so cool. Honestly, just keep this as a silhouette CIG. I think my imagination is making this ship cooler than it will be when you release it. No offense to you guys, you make cool ships, just saying. You know, it's how we be. It's gonna release and I'm gonna be like, wow, that's sick. And 2 days later, I'll be looking for the next one. At least now it's mysterious. Definitely not Drake, you say. Weird angle to confuse us. Yeah, maybe it is. It would be very funny if it was facing like that, like to the left and away from our monitors instead of it looks right now like it's facing to the left and towards them. Or maybe to the right and away. If it was just facing left away, just completely different perspective would be sick. But either way, this looks like a really exciting ship to me. I'm hoping that we hear about it more earlier than later. And hopefully it's something that I can actually find myself using in the verse. Just saw your video for the first time literally 10 minutes ago. Great content. Excited for these ships. Siege, yo, thanks for joining the live chat. This is where we get to talk a little bit more about what we really think. And I will say in that video, I could have done my section on this ship a little bit better, because I called this the Guardian. And I was mostly sure it wasn't the Guardian at the time that I wrote it, but I really wanted to talk about this silhouette because it looks cool. And I think out of every ship that has been shown over the last year or two, this is the most out of left field that's interesting me. Like, I'm a very Crusader, very small, sort of light, sleek ship kind of person in my interests, in the ships that I talk about and the ones that I gravitate towards. This is a very out of left field for me, though. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Okay, our next one. This is, I wonder who made this. This is looking like maybe a Esperia design, you guys think? Like, it's giving that sort of Tavarin style. I'm thinking maybe an Esperia bomber of some sort, possibly. It looks like up here, like it's got maybe some sort of a bomb shooter, and then back here it's got like more bomb things. King Alvin, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you continuing that tier 1 sub. That does help us, like I said. Yes, this is definitely a misc ship. But what is it? There are theories. Some believe this is a salvage ship and therefore has a space in the back here. Much like the Crusader Intrepid, it looks like it has a cargo elevator in the back. And they're highlighting that with these people standing back there. It's got the VTOL thrusters that the Prospector has. It has a lot of the Prospector's design. Got a mining laser here, and it could be something else here too. Like, what is this? Because everything that they show us in these silhouettes has now become, they're having a little game of it. Everything in the shot is relevant. The cargo boxes over here are relevant. Whatever boxes these are, relevant. This, relevant. This, relevant. All of it is like supposed to tell you something. Disintegrator? What if this is a salvage ship that's designed more in line with what salvage became? No other salvage ship in the game right now was designed after salvage was understood as a gameplay mechanic. And vehicles that are designed after that is realized end up being so much better off. Like the Zeus with its tractor beam. Or any of the other cargo ships that have come in recently. What if this is a small to medium-sized salvage ship coming from MISC meant to compete with, I guess, the Vulture? Maybe a little bit more than the Vulture. Like, maybe this is something that pairs pretty well with the Expanse. Yeah, I know there's a what was a ship that the Threshold, the Fortune, MISC Fortune. Has to be a mining head in the front. It looks like a mining head. So it'd be interesting if this was a miner and salvager, but that wouldn't really make much sense. They've never deposited minables in boxes like this. So it has to be a salvager. Why else would they have cargo in the back? They could just have the salvage heads look like the mining heads. Landing gear has an Argo style. Man, that would be an actual shake. Like, I would be shooketh. Shooketh me more, Dr. Citizen. That's if this was not a MISC ship and it was just somebody else bagging the vertical thrusters and the round fuselage, like what would be real? You hope it's not a MISC ship? I don't know. Either way, it's clearly a utility ship, and I am all for utility ships. Thank God for utility, because combat's cool, but utility is what makes the world go round. Literally. It's like we sit on little spinning plates, and they're fed by all the people doing mining around the world. Strikes you as a design to look like a retrofitted and modified prospector made to mine salvage instead of rocks. That would be the biggest twist if this was actually an aftermarket pirate-made prospector made to actually salvage and it's being sold. But you can only get it in pyro. Can't even buy it for real life money. Ha! Yeah, good joke. Anyways, MISC or Argo, we will see. Mining or salvage. Likely salvage, but we will see. How big is it? We will see. Interesting ship nonetheless. Definitely not expected. I'm guessing this is going to be a little while away though. Like, a good while away. I don't think we should even be thinking about this one for a while. Then we get to some slightly bigger ships. This one is the... I don't know. I have no clue. Yeah, I have no clue what this is. It looks like just a simple shuttle. Look at the headlights. It's like, honestly, this reminds me of the shuttle from Mass Effect. No, this isn't the Intrepid. They're not gonna, I don't think they're putting the ones from last year on here as well. Zeus? This is too... No, this is too big. This is too small to be a Zeus. Not the Apollo. The Apollo comes later. What if this was a hovercraft? Like, think Star Wars Speeder kind of thing. I don't know. It looks... It gives me vibes of the... this guy. The Kodiak Drop Shuttle. From Mass Effect. That's what I'm getting. It's like a little runabout kind of thing. Yeah, like a ground vehicle. Like a competitor to something like a Spartan, but hovering. Yeah, like a hover APC or a hover cargo transport. Something that will help with the local missions. What is on the ground to the left below the cockpit that doesn't look like normal shaped cargo? These look like cargo boxes over here, but this looks like a barrel of some sort. Don't know what that would have to do with anything. But you can see there's another one here too. So they're trying to show us that there's something else involved here. A hover APC would be sick. Yeah, you're probably right. If it was a hover vehicle, they'd elevate it. I don't know. This is a weird one. This one doesn't, like, there's not much to see here or take from the shape of it. Not a lot of design cues. There's a gun over here, a couple of lights here and here. Those lights do look really CNOU. But I have no idea what this will be. We'll probably talk about this stuff at my IAE Citizen Central and or launch sequence. It'll be like it is every year. During IAE and Invictus, we get the biggest ship folks to come in and talk. You know, sometimes I think we brought in Tactical Advance, which was a good time a couple of years back. He's pretty hard to get a handle on because he's so busy otherwise. But you know, Inforunners folks will definitely be on with us, and some of the other ship-focused people we usually bring on for the podcast. We'll talk about these things and really what to expect from IAE and what's going on. This is a weird one. I don't know what to say about it. It's a boat. All right. This is an exciting one. This ship is pretty big, and you can tell by the way that they frame the scale of everything else around this ship. Compared to some of the other ships, you know, look at how close the ship is to the camera. Look at the boxes and everything that's like right here on the sides of what's going on. And then you get to this ship and like everything's far away. This is a pretty large ship. The guys, like this dude is basically the height of the landing gear. What it looks like, at least. It looks like this little piece down here is part of the landing gear. Yeah, wings tell us it's Drake. It is asymmetric for sure. But I think people keep calling this a mini Corsair, and I think it's just because it's such a short ship it looks mini. But when you look at the scale of everything else, the ship looks pretty big. But God knows what the heck it is. This is going to be difficult to land places too, because it's really tall. Looks like a mining ship. That'd be interesting. They didn't really give us, they don't give us any looks at anything on it other than, you know, the same antennas that you find on some of the Drake ships on their wings. This little flap is just like the one you see on the Corsair. Clearly a lot of repeated structural designs. The wings come from Drake. This thruster fuselage back here comes from Drake. This little piece hanging down comes from Drake. The antennas sticking out everywhere come from Drake. Even the cockpit looks a little bit like the Vulture. So I think it's safe to say this is going to be a Drake ship. Not sure what it would be for, though. This could be a competitor to something like maybe like a little bigger than a Zeus. Like this could fit in between or around the Cutlass and Corsair. Definitely looks like it's designed for a specific vibe, though. It's a very short ship. So it can't be 2 or 3 more people. More than 2 or 3 people. This looks to you like it's facing away from us. Guess it doesn't really show much headlights going on in the front, huh? Could it be a Corsair cargo variant? I don't know. It feels kind of short to be the Corsair. But it could be. Could be like a double-decker Corsair. A larger Corsair. Oh, it's not going to be the Cat Command module. Nah. This is far too angular to be that, in my opinion. I think they'd redesign the Caterpillar first. How would a Corsair cargo help? I mean, it could compete with the StarLancer a bit. You think it's got a resource extractor in the bottom, huh? So you think this is... I was thinking just chonky landing gear. That'd be interesting if the landing gear doubled as base building stuff. And then we've got our RSI Apollo. With basically a lot of references to confirm it is the RSI Apollo. You can pull up a picture of the Apollo. Probably one where it's landed. This will be a decent one. All right, so... Okay, that's tiny. Let's just pull up the wiki. Yeah, this one will make Luna Maria very happy. So they started working on this one a little while back. You can go back to Inside Star Citizen. Something Sprint. Sprint Talk Yai. Sprint Talk Yai, I think it was. Hey, look at that. White box for the RSI Apollo was going on in October of last year.
We've also got a brief look inside the white box progress of the RSI Apollo Medevac, which is currently in production.
Okay. So let's go off of this first, yeah? So here we've got a similar shot to this. You can see that the back fin here on the right is also something you're getting here, back on the right here in the back. The turret on the top right here, which I think you can also see here, is also sticking out there. You've got these little antennas sticking off the back, right? They're not here in the white box, because white box, they're not really doing that kind of detail. But if you go and you look at any of the pictures for this ship that are coming from another angle besides just the direct top, you can see these antennas right here coming off the back. So that's what we're seeing here. So it's pretty clear this is the RSI Apollo. You've even got the antennas up front, There it is. The landing gear, this looks so much cooler from the side. I love silhouettes of ships, because silhouettes of ships look almost cooler than the actual ships themselves. This looks like just an amazing all-purpose kind of ship, in my opinion. The size is like a lot of the other ships. It's kind of misleading. It looks bigger or smaller than it comes off in concept images. This ship, though, is mainly meant as a large ambulance, almost a medical clinic. It comes with the top tier beds you can have in there. It's also got modular design. So you can have, I think, 1 top tier bed in here, 2 mid tier beds in here, or 3 low tier beds in here. You can do that on both sides. So you can have 6 patients. Obviously, this will act as a mobile respawn point for people. And I think if they would go into detail about how we can offer respawn services for folks living in a medical ship, and those folks not knowing us, like, can you be a public respawn service? That would make these ships much more valuable than if you could just be a respawn for who you know. And that'll make a big difference for a ship like this, I think. But you can see it's got a lot of space to it compared to something like a Cutlass Red. It's got a whole section up here, very RSI in design. It's got that elevator just like the Connie. Components room in the middle, medical room in the back here, airlock all the way in the back. And then one of the biggest things that this ship has going for it that I think has held it back is drones. This is actually one of the first ships that'll likely have drones, and another reason that we should be excited to learn more about them, because they're putting drones in a lot of different places. For 2948, our patented Shepherd Medlift extraction drones are changing the face of rescue operations throughout and beyond the UEE. Utilizing a cutting-edge combination of thruster and tractor beam tech, each Medlift pod safely delivers critical patients to the ship when landing is not an option. The Apollo comes equipped with 2 Shepherd Medlift semi-automated emergency extraction pods, capable of moving up to 500 pounds quickly and securely from an incident site to the ship. These pods are outfitted with PPA and shock balance technology to ensure patient safety throughout mobilization. So, yet another ship with drones, and one to consider heavily being behind because of drones. I wouldn't expect this to be coming necessarily soon. I would say until we see drones, don't expect this ship. And even then, when this ship comes out, it better be coming with a good update to medical gameplay, because there's just not enough in medical to justify a ship like this being worth people spending money on. And I think they need to do that, you know? Makes sense that way. Another piece here you can see is the side of the landing gear. It's got like that dual strut design with a squashed triangular shape on the bottom. And if you look here, you can see that here with dual strut design. So, and just like I said, with some RSI stuff, there is a little bit, I think these are maybe some just metallic loops on the bottom there, but it's not completely clean. They do leave some bits and pieces pointed out at different angles because they've still got a bit of that utilitarian design next to their sleekness. And that is RSI. That is the Apollo with drones and probably the most obvious design cues to match it up in this entire video. Looking forward to this. Don't know when it's going to come. Like I said, this was a year ago, and clearly they had to put it away for a little while. So we'll see what happens with the Apollo, but again, let's wait to see what happens with drones and death and respawning first before we get excited about this. I just hope that this will be useful as a all-purpose ship because it's really cool looking. I love the design. And we know this, we've been over this. The StarLancer is like coming out in a couple of weeks, so not a big surprise there. But again, we know how big the StarLancer is, and look at how much they pushed it away to show the scale of the ship itself, and then go back to this Drake one, and realize like it's fairly large. I don't know if this is the TAC. It does have that turret right there. Perseus. This one's a big expectation for a lot of people. It's like a hammerhead size-ish ship. Good lord. And it has, let's see, the when they were talking about RSI last year, they did say this was going to be a ship that followed the Polaris.
Are kind of it as one ship, but actually we want to tackle, well, anyone that knows our backlog knows we have a number of large RSI ships on there. And our kind of plan is that we tackle that as a family of ships. We don't just tackle one of them and then we go off and do something else for 6 months, a year, come back and do another one, something else, come back and do another one. We want to tackle them all together, one after the other. And what that really allows us to do is just kind of...
See, he says that they don't want to do it with 6 months, but that's the same thing they said about the release of Cargo, and then it took like 4 to 5 months to come out. So it's like, you can say that, but are they actually going to come out one after the other?
Tackle them all together, one after the other. And
I will say this, ships are the one place where they generally don't fall behind. They're pretty good about getting their ships out.
What that really allows us to do is just kind of streamline our development process. We're able to, for our more common areas of the ship, we're able to build kits that we're confident in, that we can reuse and we can make the most out of them. And then that allows us to focus our development time and our efforts really on the much more unique and the important and exciting areas of each ship. Tackling them as a family kind of allows us to expedite their development. We leverage the experience that we've got within the team. And it just allows us to, like I say, streamline everything. So first up we've got the Polaris, next up we've got the Galaxy, then we've got the Perseus, and that kind of closes out most of our large RSI ships.
Okay, so this is the Perseus. This is not the Galaxy. If you were just wanted to confirm, they are not going in the order that they said last year. For whatever reason, I think people said that they specifically mentioned that the Perseus and the Polaris share more things related than the Polaris and the Galaxy. So it makes more sense for them to go from the Perseus or the Polaris to the Galaxy. Sorry, from the Polaris to the Perseus. So they're working on the Perseus. And I think the big thing to think about here now is taking what they're doing here and applying it to what they said last year.
Our more common areas of the ship, we're able to build kits that we're confident in, that we can reuse and we can make the most out of them. We want to tackle them all together, one after the other. And what that really allows us to do is just kind of...
So are they going to use their kits and tackle this all together and actually get us one large ship after the other? I would say if we get the Perseus for Invictus Week, which would be a pretty good idea because it is a military ship, that would make the most sense given the goals that they're setting out, given the reasons that they say that they're doing this. I would expect to see the Perseus at Invictus Week. And if not, then I'm going to be like, okay, has this really gotten any better? If you're saying that building the Polaris first allows you to build the Perseus faster, I would expect this to allow the Perseus to come in 6 to 8 months as opposed to 12 to 14 months, you know? And it's not even that important of a ship. I just think it's important that they show that the scale up of productivity for ships, especially the bigger ships and the backlog overall, is important and it's doable. And it's something that they've got a good handle on for the size of their team. Because if you look at the Perseus was first shown in 2020, I believe. Yeah, IAE 2020. So this ship has been in the backlog for 4 years. It'd be great if they could launch it pretty quickly off the back of the Polaris. It would make sense for them to be at Invictus launch week. we could actually probably judge this by what's going on with the monthly reports. If the Perseus is in, let's say, gray box at this point, then I think Invictus is a guarantee. But if they're just entering white box with the Perseus, they're gonna have to do a lot of work in the first half of next year to get it up on time. So we'll see. We'll probably go over the monthly report on Friday's stream. I think I've got a Friday stream. And maybe that will have something about Perseus in there. Is server meshing acting in the Evo that you're playing in? Yes. Yes, server meshing was active. The server stability was much better, but the actual glitches with the game itself, like the planet, were worse. The services that we would run, like things that ATC, calling hangars, doing inventory stuff, all of that was like really fast and snippy. But there were times also where like the inventory was not running well. There were times when the planet surfaces didn't load in. So improved stability, deproved stability. Reason you want the Perseus in soon is because you got your wife to finally play the game and we want this ship. I promise the Perseus is coming. Just please keep playing. The Perseus will be interesting. It's going to be an interesting ship because it's not like... It's not oversized like the Polaris. It's got a big freaking gun on it, which makes it an interesting thing to consider when you're going up against larger ships. But it's also yet another combat ship that's like, you've got to have good turret crew to keep this thing okay. Unless people can, you know, utilize like a Crusader Ares more strongly. The more and more these big ships come out, the more people are going to be interested in things like the Eclipse, the Retaliator, the Ares. Because these targets are going to be fun. It's going to be fun to fight with these ships if they can get turret gameplay working right, if they can get engineering working right. Attacking one of these and whittling it down as they repair it on board should be a pretty fun thing. So this is a good size ship for that kind of thing. It's like a hammerhead that doesn't require as many gunners, and it also looks freaking cool. We'll see how it goes. Wow, that was loud. And then we've got the Ironclad. Oh my gosh. This is an interesting one. I didn't expect them to be talking about this one just yet. The Ironclad is interesting because it has ship module. It has valuable storage section. And it's got a big, I think it's got like the biggest cargo room so far of any ship. Screwability. Some of us are here for the screenshots. Of course, dude. The freaking it's the screenshots and the delays, man. That's what I'm here for. Stability, what? Stability in game, stability in life? No way. No, please. Doesn't have a ship module. You believe it has a ship module when the cat has a ship module. Well, yeah. So that's why it's interesting, because are they going to build it with it or not? AI crew and AI turrets will be a major factor. I do believe with the AI blades when it comes to turrets, AI crew is clearly past 1.0 though, so I'm not even going to consider that. But yeah, I do think with turret gameplay, these could be really fun ships to combat. So the Ironclad is a cool ship. For those who don't know it, I'll show it to you real quick. Mainly focused on cargo. You can probably also carry vehicles, and it's a Drake. It's a Drake capital size ship. People really like that.
An entrance at the front of it.
Here's a little look at it for a bit.
So the Drake Ironclad is the kind of next step up for Drake cargo ships. It kind of builds on what the Caterpillar brings, but in a much larger form.
The Drake Ironclad is a 6-person multi-crew armored freighter.
6-person, not that big.
To the cargo bay at the front of it, which has both a front ramp for loading and unloading cargo and small vehicles on the ground, as well as a retractable roof for doing that in space with EVA as well.
Little tight entrances to cargo ships doesn't necessarily lend itself to when you're out in deep space and you're trying to quickly move some cargo from one person's ship into your ship. Really, you want as much kind of access to be able to do that as you possibly can. So by having this kind of much larger opening on top of the ship, it allows us to kind of bring cargo in much easier.
So its role being a sort of armoured freighter comes from two distinct ways. One, the cargo itself is more protected. It's within the cargo bay that has the armoured roof section that covers it. So unlike, say, a hull C where the cargo's on the outside, you can load it from the outside but then protect it with the Ironclad.
Is also
Mr. Spock, you take that back. This is an MP4. Those are moving pictures, thank you. The most interesting part of this, for me, is the catwalk that they have in here. The fact that they're putting a catwalk on a newer ship means they'll have to find reasons for catwalks, which means maybe the Reclaimer's catwalk will also be useful at some point.
Heavily armoured than the Caterpillar, so it kind of gives a little bit more security to your kind of precious cargo.
The exterior is very classic Drake brutish styling, a whole lot of engines and a lot of framework and quite thin structural elements support the rest of the ship. Very bare bones styling. It doesn't have lots of nice padding. It's all there and exposed, and it's really just sort of rugged and to the point. So the Ironclad is really three distinct areas. You have all the accommodation in the rear sort of third of the ship. The front 2/3 is really just this cargo bay with the front entrance and the retractable roof. And then you have the command module, which has seats for the crew, plus a few little jump seats for everyone else. Command module is there to steer the ship when it's attached, and the command...
All right, hold on. Here's actually a really good view of this. So people were thinking that this looked like the command module. It's got kind of some of the design language right here, but yeah. Maybe if you just took this front portion, then yeah, it would look like this. But the command module on this thing is really long. And like, it's a little curved on the top too. This part should be going upwards instead of sideways. Like, not the same. I can see the general design language similarities, which is why it makes sense that this is Drake, but I think it's definitely a lot bigger than what that is.
Jettison your cargo and try and get out of dodge and kind of get out to safety. And I think that's like a really important thing as we get closer to Death of a Spaceman.
With some of the recent tech that's come online, this brought us one step closer to implementing command modules properly. So not only will you see this detachable command module feature on the Ironclad, but as well it will happen on the Caterpillar.
Interior-wise, you've kind of got two entrances onto the ship. You can either enter via the command module, and that takes you straight into a kind of corridor section. It's kind of like, almost like a mezzanine. You can either go up to the habitation area, which is top floor of the ship, gives you like super nice views out both the kind of cargo out the front and the rear of the ship, or you can kind of come down the ship into the main habitation area. Alternatively, you can enter through the dock and collar airlock, which is on the opposite side of the ship. At the rear of the interior of the ship, we've kind of got the heart of the engines. It's the big kind of engineering area where we've got all of the kind of main functional components needed for moving such a large ship. And then if you kind of come slightly further forward, we've got we call it the kind of like the command deck. It's not a bridge, you can't fly the ship from it, but it's where you operate the track beams. It's where it kind of gives you good views out over the front and into space. You've got the track beams.
That's the kind of pain you get when you're trying to solo a ship like this. Like, yes, it's possible to solo, but imagine having to run back and forth between the tractor beams and the... I guess this is sort of like a Pioneer where you set it down somewhere and you move other things around it. So maybe it's not so bad you can't fly it from that room. Still kind of sucks, though, when you're trying to just quickly do something.
Turrets, but also, visually you can kind of stand in this area or sit in this area and look out over the front and over the bow of the ship and kind of really see what you're trying to pull in or what you're trying to capture into your cargo hold.
So this is it's a pretty big ship. It's not huge. It's not the biggest there is. And like somebody said, this is a stepping stone towards the Kraken, being able to build that, which of course they decided to tease during CitizenCon because that's what they do. But it is not, it's not, I don't think it's close to being done right now. I don't know if this is going to release within the next year, honestly. This is, again, just stuff that they're working on, not necessarily releasing. So this is one that I would definitely think maybe don't get super excited for it to come out in the next year. Let's see where they go with this. And then there's this bad boy who they literally said that in 2 weeks they're going to start working on this. This is the Pioneer, by the way. So it makes so much sense that this is on here. Again, doesn't mean it's going to be here. Base building, like Chris said, is something they expect within the next 12 to 18 months. While the Pioneer is starting work right now, could be a good year plus for it to work. And they also said the Pioneer won't be there when base building initially comes out. So if base building does take that 18 months that Chris said as his upper end of the window, which this is CIG, okay, but we got to factor in that that's a possibility. This ship might be 18 plus months away. So again, this list doesn't mean these are things that are coming in the next year. Just they're working on. Ship team is like 52 people now. Did they confirm that? That'd be good to know. But you can solo large ships to earn down. The only reason I think that you can solo large ships to earn down is because you can buy UEC on the store. Could you imagine how broke you would go if you tried to solo large ships and take the missions that are made for small ships and like try to pay for the facilities and services of those large ships? They didn't show any updates on the Liberator, no. Inferred by Space Tomato, Kraken 2026. No, Pioneer, maybe 2026. Kraken's well beyond that, my friend. I'm sorry. Base building could be just a little outpost. It could. It could. That's exactly why I thought that base building could show up in 4.0 even. It's not going to, obviously. But considering how much they could scale it down or up for its first release, I thought you could put something really, really small in and try to release that at the beginning of 2025, end of 2024, or you could focus on launching it as a very big initiative in the game and release it at the end of 2025. Not to be in any way negative, all of everything we're talking about still all relies on server meshing being fully realized. I'd love to have a channel dedicated to those details so that we can know. That would be cool. We haven't had any real talk on server meshing over the last week or two. I would be interested in hearing what's coming up on that, though, and how testing is going in the Evocati. And what's after the Pioneer? And that's it. So that's the whole list of things that they'll be working on in the next 12 months. Again, working on, not releasing. And that's 12 months, not 10. The ships that I think we will be seeing in the next month or so are the 2 Hornets. We saw those in that list. The Crusader Intrepid, which we saw prior to that list in this video. It's it right here. We did a lot of speculation on that. The Medical Terrapin, the Medipin. The StarLancer MAX. The Guardian, I think we could see shortly after, maybe. The Polaris, we will definitely be seeing. And I think I miscounted because it should be 7. Or rather, that's probably the 6 we'll see at IAE. And then I think the Guardian we'll see in December. Thinking. Because they didn't show any of the real Guardian here. They definitely showed the Medipin, the Polaris, and the Intrepid. So we know we're getting those. The Hornet MK2s, those are in 324, so those have to be coming by IAE or before. And then, what's the other one? Oh, the StarLancer is confirmed already at IAE. So that just leaves the Guardian, really, in terms of mystery and what's happening with it. The Terrapin. Hey, that's a pretty good one. What about the Super Hornet? Only saw it on the progress tracker. I guess that's coming a little bit later. Who knows? Who knows when that one is coming? You being very sarcastic with engineering and other such features making future large ships multiplayer a must. Nobody will be soloing capital ships to earn down faster. Oh, I took you as being facetious when you said it. I did not take it seriously, don't worry. Hornet MK3. There won't be a Hornet MK3. People take the Mark II move a little bit differently than they should, because the Mark II is something that is supposed to be in the game. It's like in lore, the Hornet had a Mark II specifically because it was like a whole military thing, for the same reason that the Polaris is in Squadron 42. The Mark II was planned out from 2014, I think, 2015. But they've never really said that about anything else. The only other ship they've done that with was the Zeus. But that's a little different because there was no original Zeus in the game. I think the StarLancer will be rentable, yeah. Terrapin will have a red heart on the red paint job. Terrapin, Medipin, whatever you want to call it, Medical Terrapin is a great addition to the game. Oh yeah, there's a lot of gold box, or there's a lot of gold standard stuff that needs to be done for this game. Absolutely. Hospital. I love that. That's a good one. All right, man. Yeah, I think, you know, there's something to be said about, we started this whole stream slash video slash hi YouTube if you're watching this as a deep dive. We started this all talking about the vibe of the community, going off of how this year has gone, going off of how many ships and things it looks like are coming out over the next 6 weeks, as we've just gone over. Seems like quite a bit, but they also seem like things that people will really like. That Intrepid, the Turtle, the Polaris seem like hot ticket items, and then the StarLancer actually seems like a pretty solid ship. If they put those ships out and then also bring in a concept sale that kind of comes out of left field but ends up being something that people didn't realize they wanted until just now, they could absolutely beat their funding from last year, I would say, for this year. It would be huge if they did so. Last year was an insane amount of funding. But they've also, you know, they're spending more. So they probably want to be able to keep up with that, and we'll see if they do. But as I said in the beginning of this, it's going to be interesting to see how the community responds to this, given 4.0 is still not live. CitizenCon did not give people a great idea of what's coming up immediately, as opposed to kind of what the plans are for the time going forward. And the game right now that's live is not running very well. So it does a lot to reignite the whole ships versus not ships conversation. And we'll see where that goes. And where that conversation goes. Hope you guys enjoyed this though. Got to learn about ships, got to see ships, got to do ships. We'll be back to feature development and stuff next time, because that's where home is. That's what we appreciate. That's what makes us feel comfortable. The second they achieve less, you'll see the usual suspects seriously typing out "the game is dying" articles. The game's always dying, dude. Master mode's killed the game. Nobody's spending time on it. Nobody plays anymore. Thank you, chat, for good times today. I hope you had good times. I hope you got to enjoy some time off from reality today, looking at spaceships. We will, like I said, be right back where we were on Friday, I would assume, with power, so like things will look normal. Working on still getting back up to speed. There are just a couple things left that we need to fix, but videos, streams, and especially our cooking streams with Mrs. Tomato should be getting right back on track by next week. Thank you everybody for coming to the stream. Hope you enjoyed your time here. Of course, remember to eat something you love today, cook something you love, talk to somebody you love, just like, you know, in general, do good times. Have good times. Be with good people. You're all great people. You deserve good fun. And you should have a lovely hump day. Yeah, hug someone you eat, of course. Definitely do that. That's what's healthy, right? Yeah. Thank you all for being here. Go check out the new video. It is also about these new ships. You'll learn about the next 5 or 6 or 7 ships coming and hopefully get some entertainment out of it. Either way, I'm going to send you all to Meyer. Enjoy yourselves, folks. And I will see you on Friday. Bye-bye, everybody. I'll let you watch the Polaris to finish off your stream today. Have a good one.